having a fight because we were both from New York, and we were New York Jews, and he was in the upper class and I was in the lower class, and who was going to get the award, you know. And it finally came down to my Spanish teacher gave me an A, so I beat out, his name was Werner. I can't remember what his first name was. And I beat him out, and I was presented with the highest academic honors, which I thought was a joke. And because I had not striven for it at all, I just was what I was. And along with being the smartest, which really rubbed the Academy's nose in it, was that I had more disconduct medals and bars and so forth, you know, than anybody else in the school, because I was always doing things. I smoked when I wasn't supposed to. I was 13. I was picking up women in the segregated, because I was there in the segregated South. Colored washrooms, white washrooms, colored drinking fountains, white drinking fountains. Colored have to stay up in the way top of the theater. Whites could sit anywhere they wanted. And that was one of the first times that I can remember that I was aware of injustice. And so justice became a very, very strong part of who I was, as contradicted by legality. And that comes up later. But anyhow, so I was invited to the home of one of my friends from military school, and he said to me, "Now, Arthur, don't tell my father that you're Jewish, and don't tell him that you're New York, but most important, don't tell him you're Jewish." So we sat down and we had a typical redneck Southern dinner, which was fine. And he asked me, I guess, a little bit about New York, but we tried to stay away from that subject. And then he started bragging about the time that he lynched a black man and how that was one of the greatest moments of his life. And you can imagine why my friend told me not to do that, and why he invited me, because he was separating himself from that, and yet doing it in a dangerous way for both of us. But okay, so that was good. And aside from that, and doing lots of things that I had to do for demerits. They called it walking the bull ring. So you had a shoulder on your arm and you walked around the bull ring for 4 hours or whatever. And the time that I was assigned to the bull ring that I can remember most was when I put the flag on upside down. I had to run the flag up. And so the major tells the lieutenant of the students, and the lieutenant tells the sergeant major, and the sergeant major tells the sergeant, who tells the corporal, who tells the two plebes or whatever that we were called, you know, newbies, I don't know. Anyhow, they told this friend of mine and myself we had to put the flag up the flagpole. So what we did, because we were very tired, it was dawn, and we went out there and we got the flag and we unfolded it and we clicked in the grommets, you know, and ran it up the flagpole. We didn't even look at it. We just ran it up the flagpole and we went back to bed. And the major, who always watched the flag go up, saw the flag go up upside down. So he was infuriated. He he called in the I guess the captain of the student body, who called in the lieutenant, who called in the sergeants, who called in the corporal. And the corporal couldn't do a hell of a lot to us, but we did have to march some demerits. But all of those other guys really got into deep doo-doo. And I thought that was a riot. So that was one of the good, bad times that I had. Basically, I managed to get through, and without too many horrors, and won the award. And then my parents said that I didn't have to go back to military school, so they sent me to public school for a year. Now, at the time, New Rochelle had high school starting with the 8th grade. So I had been in the 7th grade, and now I was in the 8th grade in high school. And my schooling in military school was rather deficient, even if I did win that thing. And the way I got it was through the Spanish teacher, because I didn't know Spanish. And I was put in first year Spanish because they had heard I had taken Spanish. I didn't know the first word about Spanish. I mean, I didn't even know hola. I swear to God, I didn't. He said to me, and what does Rico mean? And I said, oh, rice. So after that, I shut up. I never said a single word in class again for, I don't know, quite a few years. I lasted for the 1 year in high school and never became part of a clique or anything. I was a pretty fast runner, so I was able to get on a junior track team. 1 year of that, and my parents decided, no, we'll let him come home because this is too horrible for words. So I came home. I did the year in public school. That wasn't too good because I would go out. I guess I was 16. I would go out. I had a car. I would stay out all night. I would get drunk as a lord. I would come home staggering. I couldn't even find my own bedroom. I found the guest room. I puked out the guest room window. I collapsed. I mean, those things really upset them. So they had the audacity to tell me that if you don't shape up, we're going to send you to military school. And I had the chutzpah to tell them, you send me to military school, I'll run away. And believe me, I won't run back to here. So I stayed out of military school. Instead, they sent me to prep school for 2 years, where all the New Rochelle, Nouveau Riche sent their kids to prep school, to Petty. Petty Prep was a good school. Lawrenceville, Petty, and Blair were the big three in New Jersey, just like the New England were Andover, Exeter, and Choate or something like that. I can't remember. And I think it was Choate. But I was no better a student there than I had to be, so I barely got through. And then I guess at the end I put on a spurt, and so I ended up with a cum laude. I didn't get magna, believe me, because I never studied. I smoked, but my parents had to give me a smoking permission or else I'd be expelled. And to keep guys from bumming cigarettes from me, I rolled my own. Or I smoked things that people had never heard of before, like little Egyptians, or I smoked Bull Durham, and then I smoked, oh God, some other horrible thing. And so when people would come, and I rolled my own. So when somebody said they wanted a cigarette, because they were always bumming, right? I'd give them the bag of Bull Durham and some papers, and go ahead, you roll your own, you know. Or I found out Little Egypt didn't work because they said, oh, I have to taste this. And when they tasted it, they found out why it wasn't a big seller to Americans. But anyhow, I did a lot of stuff that I wasn't supposed to.